And closing out the prelims, we got the end of a legendary career with Robbie Lawler calling it quits after this fight, where he's taking on Niko Price. And man, I mean, what better dance partner can you ask for than a guy like Niko Price for Robbie Lawler's last fight? Definitely a violence fight right here. And Robbie, he's basically been fighting one time a year for a few years now, and he's fought on this International Fight Week type of stage. So he's going to be right at home, fighting again for the first time in about a year. Niko Price, he knocked some rust off against Phil Rowe. He was coming off a long layoff where he had some knee injuries and things like that. And, hopefully now he's a little bit more recovered than he was in the Phil Rowe fight. But man, I mean, this is an excellent matchup on paper. Obviously, both guys have power. Both guys have some sick knockouts. And, both guys are known to go in there and go to war. So, honestly, I think this is a great matchup for Robbie Lawler's last fight. You look at Robbie Lawler's last match with Bryan Barberena, I thought that was an awesome fight, man. I mean, Bryan Barberena, he isn't the most athletic guy. He isn't the most powerful guy. But his inside fighting is some of the best in the division at 170, bar none. I mean, the guy has great punching combinations, very slick, picks his shots well, great elbows. And Robbie Lawler went in there with him, and he matched him, man. I mean, he was beating his ass with the jab. He was hammering him to the body, coming up to the head, looked really fast. He was slipping, catching punches. And, man, I mean, Robbie was on point in that fight, and eventually he ended up getting caught with that barrage of elbows and taken out, but he looked good, and he looks good again in this one. And he's getting a guy that doesn't have that inside fighting. I mean, if they're going to be on the inside, that's going to be Robbie Lawler all day, unless Niko Price can land like a one-shot, one-hitter quitter KO. If they're on the inside and they're exchanging in that boxing range, I see Robbie Lawler landing that left hook over and over. I think he's going to be able to go to the body. I think he's going to be able to land clean over the top. And Niko just doesn't have that technicality or preciseness in the boxing to compete with Robbie Lawler at all. And ultimately, man, I know Niko's a lot younger. And obviously, he hasn't been fighting since 2001. He didn't have the wear and tear of Robbie. I'm not going to try to say that, but I don't like the spot in the career where Niko's at either. Niko's coming off some losses. He hasn't been active because of injuries. Came back against Phil Rowe. He had 2 knee braces on. He wasn't kicking. He didn't have the same volume that he did in previous fights. And I felt like he was just very slow and awkward. And that was a bad fight from both guys, in my opinion, Phil Rowe and Niko. And obviously, I mean, there's some outside factors where maybe Robbie doesn't show up in this one. But if he comes in like he did against Barberena, I think he has a really good chance to win, because I just don't think Niko has that kicking ability that he used to, where in the past he was a lot more dangerous on the outside. Like, he had the movement where he could move a little bit better. He was throwing front kicks and things like that from the outside, and he could close the distance with some nice straight shot blitz attacks. But I didn't see that from him in his last fight. I feel like a lot of that outside fighting, the kicks and the explosion and speed are gone with the injuries. And he's not a young guy either. And one thing I don't really like about Niko that kind of I feel stunned in his career majorly is he was with MMA Masters, which was a great gym, and he decided to branch off, make his own gym, and now he's his own head coach, and I think he has a few other coaches with him, but I don't know, man. I just don't trust Niko. I think if Niko wrestled, held Robbie against the fence, and kind of made it a boring fight, then he could kind of steal it. But I don't think he's going to have success taking Robbie down. Robbie has improved his wrestling defense over the years a lot, especially against the cage, and he works with a lot of wrestlers at Kill Cliff, so that's kind of something that I think is going to be hard for Niko to do, but could maybe hold him against the fence. It's just, I don't think Niko's going to have that in him, man. Niko likes to go in there and brawl. He likes to entertain for the fans. He's fighting a legend here, and I'm going with Robbie, man. I'm going to say Robbie gets the second round knockout in this one. I think Niko, I just don't trust him right now, and I'm not like super trustworthy on the Robbie side either. But I liked what I saw last from Robbie a lot more than what I saw from Niko. So I'm going with Robbie Lawler in this one to get the win and go out in the sunset on a positive note.